I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mark, and I'm just trying to make sense of the hell my life's become. Sarah and I had always been the typical couple, happened to be college sweethearts, married young, and somehow managed to stay together through it all, or so I thought. We fought, sure, but nothing that felt like the end of the world. She was smart, beautiful, a little bitchy sometimes, but generally caring. At least, that's what I thought. Then the pandemic hit. Suddenly, everything changed. My parents, both in their 70s, caught COVID-19, and it tore through our small circle like wildfire. I was petrified. And Sarah, well, she was there. I mean, she was supportive at first, attending the virtual therapy sessions I was forced to go to because the grief was too much to handle alone. We both lost our parents, and I thought those sessions would help us heal. But looking back, I realized something shifted during that time. I started noticing little things, text messages I shouldn't have seen, her late nights on the phone, her seeming distracted even when she was supposed to be comforting me. I brushed it off as grief and exhaustion. But Sarah, she wasn't the kind of woman who'd just cheat. She'd lie, sure, but outright betrayal. That was something I'd never even considered possible. Still, I felt uneasy, like there was a shadow hanging over us. Then one night I decided to go through her phone. I don't know what prompted it. I guess I was just desperate for some truth. I found a series of messages, nothing explicit at first, just little flirty comments, jokes, and then some more personal stuff. The kind of stuff you only say to someone you're damn attracted to. My stomach sank. I kept digging, scrolling through more texts, and that's when I saw it, pictures. Not just innocent selfies, these were intimate, provocative, and definitely not for my eyes. The worst part. They were sent during the time she was supposedly comforting me about the loss during our grief counseling sessions. I was devastated. How could she? After everything, after all the pain we'd been through, she was out there fucking someone else. And it wasn't just some random guy. It was someone from her support network, a grief counselor we trusted, a guy named David. I couldn't believe it. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I stared at her messages, her replies, all so casual, so dismissive of the fact that I was still trying to get through the loss of my parents. She lied about everything. She said she was helping him because he was going through a tough time, that they bonded over their shared grief. Yeah, right. Bonded over their fucking sex. I remember the moment I saw the last message she sent him. She told him she missed their late-night talks and how she couldn't wait to see him again. That was the last straw. My mind raced. My hands trembled. My whole world crumbled in a second. I knew I had to confront her, but I wasn't sure how. I didn't want to believe she'd do this. I kept telling myself she was just supporting him, that it was all innocent, but the evidence was pretty damn clear. And it hurt worse than anything I'd ever felt before. I stayed up all night, replaying everything, trying to find some reason, some excuse she'd give. But deep down, I knew. I knew she'd been cheating on me the entire time, using our grief, our loss, as some twisted excuse. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't keep going like this. The trust was gone. Everything we had was just a shell. That's when I started planning my next move. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind was still spinning from what I'd seen. I kept staring at my phone, debating whether I should just leave it alone, forget the whole thing, and pretend I didn't see anything. But I knew I couldn't do that. Not anymore. I had to face her, had to hear her lie, deny, or maybe even admit the truth. Whatever it was, I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I found her in the kitchen, pretending to be busy with her coffee, her face unreadable but her eyes a little too careful. I took a deep breath. "Sarah," I started, trying to keep my voice steady, "we need to talk." She looked up, that bitchy smirk she always wore when she thought she was in control. "What's there to talk about, Mark? I'm busy." She tried to brush past me, but I blocked her way. I wasn't going to let her brush this off, not anymore. "I saw the messages," I said quietly but firmly. "The ones with David, the late-night texts, the pictures. Don't lie to me anymore. I know you've been cheating." Her eyes widened for a split second, then she recovered her composure. "Oh, come on, Mark, you're overreacting. It's just some stupid support thing. He's just a guy who was hurting and I was trying to help him. It's nothing serious." "Nothing serious," I shot back. "That's what you say when you're caught, but I saw everything, Sarah. Those messages, those pictures, you fucked him. You fucked him behind my back while we were supposed to be grieving together. How do you think that makes me feel?" She scoffed, rolling her eyes. "You're being dramatic. I was just being kind. You know, comforting someone in their time of need. You're always so paranoid. Your parents died and suddenly everything's a drama. Maybe you're the one who's insecure." Her words hit like cold steel. Insecurity. After all I'd been through, I felt a fiery rage bubble up inside me. I wanted scream to tear her apart, but I held back, just stared at her with disgust. "I don't care how kind you say it was," I said through clenched teeth. "You crossed every professional boundary, Sarah. You used your position as a grief counselor to fuck this guy, and you think I'm just supposed to accept it. No way. I trusted you, I loved you, and you betrayed me in the worst way possible." She looked at me with that same bitchy smile, like she was somehow entitled to do whatever she wanted. "Oh, please. This is just some stupid misunderstanding. You're blowing it out of proportion. I don't know what you think you saw, but it's not what it looks like." I felt my fists tight. "You're lying. I know the truth, and I don't want to hear another excuse. I'm done. I want you out of my house." She blinked, then fast enough, she switched her tone into that saccharine, condescending voice she always used when she thought she was winning. "Fine. If that's what you want, I'll leave. But don't come crying when you realize you're throwing away something good over a stupid suspicion." That was the moment I knew she wouldn't admit anything. She was good at lying, at twisting the truth to her advantage. I didn't bother arguing anymore. I just wanted her gone. I told her to pack her stuff and leave that same day. I had nothing left to say to her. Every word she spat was like a dagger to my heart. Later that day, I started cleaning out our shared space, trying to process everything. I found her belongings hidden in drawers, in boxes she'd stashed away. It all felt surreal. How could she do this? After everything. I kept asking myself if I'd missed the signs, if I'd been blind, or maybe just naive. The girl I'd loved, the girl I married, had been cheating on me for who knows how long, and I never saw it coming. As I boxed up her stuff, I realized I was angry, not just at her, but at myself. How did I let this happen? How did I fail to see the woman I loved was capable of such deception? The betrayal was so deep, so personal, it made my chest ache. I kept thinking about the moments I'd trusted her, confided in her, believed she was my partner. And she had been lying, cheating, sneaking around with some guy who was supposed to be helping her through her own grief. I knew I had to do something. I didn't want her just to walk away and get away with it. That wasn't going to happen. I'd spent years building my life with her, trusting her. But now I saw her for what she really was, a selfish, manipulative woman who used her professional role as a shield to indulge her own desires. I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. That fury was going to fuel my next steps, whatever they were. I didn't know if I wanted to get revenge or just cut her out for good, but one thing was clear. I wasn't going to let her ruin me and walk away like some victim of a misunderstanding. Not after what she did. After she left, I felt like I was in some kind of fog. The house was dead silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and my own ragged breathing. I sat on the couch, staring at the empty space where she used to sit, feeling this strange mixture of relief and a crushing emptiness. It was like my entire world had shattered into pieces in those few hours. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. All I could do was replay everything over and over in my head, trying to find where it all went wrong. I kept asking myself how I hadn't seen it sooner, how I'd been so blind. I thought I knew her, really knew her. But now, looking back, I saw the signs. No calls from her friends, secretive late nights, her phone always tucked away, her attitude shift whenever I mentioned the therapist's name. I just blamed it on stress, on grief. I never once thought she'd be sleeping with him, with her own support guy, right under my nose. The worst part was, I felt betrayed not just by her infidelity but by the whole system. That damn therapist, David, he was supposed to be there for us, to help us through our grief. Instead, he used that trust to get into her head, into her bed. It made me sick. I remembered the recordings from her therapy sessions, those recordings we had to do because of the pandemic. I'd heard her voice, her comfort, her empathy, or so I thought. Now I knew it was all a lie. She'd been playing me, using her role to seduce him, to get close to him during the most vulnerable time of my life. I wasn't sure what hurt more, the betrayal or the fact that I felt so stupid for not seeing it. I mean, she's always been a bit of a bitch, always had a sharp tongue, but I never thought she'd be capable of something this heinous. I felt like I was drowning, like I was losing my mind. I had to figure out what to do next, but everything seemed so pointless now. A few hours later, I started making calls. I needed to talk to someone, anyone. I reached out to my best friend, Jason, and told him everything. His response was blunt but honest. Dude, that bitch is a fucking cheater. You gotta get out. You gotta get away from her, not just physically, but emotionally. You deserve better than someone who'd screw you over like this. That's what I needed to hear because, honestly, I'd been wavering between anger and despair. His words helped me focus. Next, I decided I had to confront the situation head-on. I couldn't just sit here and stew in my misery. I needed proof, solid proof, before I did anything drastic. So I went back through her phone, her emails, her social media, anything I could find. And it was like peeling back layers of a rotten onion. I found more messages, more pictures, even some private chats with David. She lied to me about everything, and I felt like I'd been played for a fool. I knew I had to get some kind of closure. I wanted to hear her lie to my face, tell me it was all innocent, that I was overreacting. But I also knew that whatever she said wouldn't change what she'd done. Still, I needed to hear her say it. I wanted her to admit it, to own up to her betrayal. I called her that evening, and when she answered, she sounded annoyed, dismissive, like I was bothering her. Sarah, I said, trying to keep my voice from trembling, I know about you and David. I know everything. There was a pause, then she scoffed. Really? That's what this is about. You're just jealous because I was comforting him. Not you, it's not what you think, Mark. You're overreacting as usual. That's when I finally snapped. Stop lying, I have the evidence. I saw the messages, the pictures. You used your position as a therapist, as a support system to sleep with him. How do you sleep at night knowing you hurt me so badly? She yelled back, angry and dismissive. You're crazy, Mark. You're always so paranoid. Maybe if you weren't so distant, I wouldn't have needed to find comfort somewhere else. You're the one who screwed up this marriage, not me. I felt my blood boil. I wanted to scream, to break everything around me. Instead, I told her to get out of the house. I told her I never wanted to see her again. I was done. That was the moment I realized I wasn't going to let her manipulate or lie her way out of this. I was going to take control of my life, even if it meant losing everything I thought I had. That night I sat alone, staring at the ceiling, trying to process what had just happened. The shock was wearing off, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. I knew I'd have to decide whether to fight for the marriage or let her go forever. For now, I just wanted her gone. That was enough. I had to rebuild somehow from this wreckage. And I wasn't sure how, but I knew I'd never trust her again, not after everything. The days that followed were a blur of confusion and anger. I threw myself into work and kept busy, but at night, the reality hit harder. I'd go over everything again and again. Her betrayal, the lies, the way my entire world had crumbled in a matter of hours. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The betrayal was like a hole in my chest that kept getting bigger. I kept asking myself why I hadn't seen it coming, how I could have been so blind. I also started digging into who she really was beneath the bitchy exterior. I remembered little things now, her secretive behavior, the way she'd always deflect questions about her phone or her whereabouts. I should have seen it, should have known she was capable of this kind of deception. But I was too caught up in the grief, too distracted by the pain of losing my parents to notice she was slipping away inch by inch. What made it worse was knowing she was still lying. Every time I tried to confront her about the evidence I'd found, she'd deny, deny, deny. She'd twist it around, accuse me of paranoia, of not trusting her. That made my blood boil even more. She was trying to gaslight me, to make me doubt my own instincts. Like I was the crazy one for suspecting her, for feeling hurt. She had this way of making herself seem the victim in her own twisted story, and I was supposed to believe her. I knew I needed to do something to get real proof, but I hadn't yet decided my next move. I felt like I was walking on eggshells, waiting for the next lie, the next smirk, the next moment she'd deny everything again. I was exhausted emotionally and physically. I started questioning everything, my judgment, my memory, even my own feelings. Was I just overreacting? Was I missing some bigger picture? Or was she really just a lying, manipulative bitch who'd been using me from the start? One night, I finally decided I had to get to the bottom of it. I set up a hidden voice recorder in the living room, just in case she tried to deny anything when she came back. I didn't want to just rely on those messages. I wanted everything on tape. As soon as she arrived that evening, her attitude was even more bitchy than usual, like she was annoyed I'd even called her. I pretended to be calm as I told her I made a decision. If she wanted to lie anymore, she could do it to herself. I played her the recordings I'd secretly made, and her face lost all color. She tried to brush it off, but her voice cracked under the pressure. I heard her lie, stumble, and finally, the truth slipped out. She admitted she'd been sleeping with David, said she thought I'd never find out, that she was bored and wanted excitement. She said she thought she was just having fun, and that she didn't see the big deal. That was the moment I realized how deeply she'd lied, how little she cared about my feelings. It was like being punched again. I felt a mixture of disgust, rage, and heartbreak. How could the woman I married do this? How could she be so callous? I'd trusted her with my life, with my grief, and she'd used that trust to cheat on me, to manipulate me. I told her to leave my house and never come back. She argued, of course, trying to justify herself, but I wasn't hearing it. I'd had enough. As she packed her things, I stood there numb. I watched her walk out the door, and for the first time I truly understood what heartbreak felt like. Like your insides are tearing apart and your future suddenly feels so uncertain. I had given her everything, my trust, my love, my support, and she threw it all away for some affair with a guy who was supposed to be helping us through our grief. It was so sick, so twisted. I wondered how I'd been so blind for so long. But now I knew I had to move on, no matter how much it hurt. I couldn't keep holding on to someone who had betrayed me so completely. I was angry, yes, but mostly I was exhausted. And somewhere deep inside, I knew I had to find a way to rebuild from this. I had no idea exactly how yet, but I knew I'd be forever changed by this betrayal. It would take time, maybe a lot of therapy, maybe months or years to heal. But I also realized I deserved better, someone who wouldn't use my grief as an excuse to cheat. That thought, heartbreaking as it was, gave me a little strength to keep going. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew I'd never look at her the same way again. The days after she left felt like walking through a nightmare. The house was eerily silent, every corner echoing with memories I now hated. I kept thinking about how everything had fallen apart so suddenly, how I'd gone from trusting her with my grief to uncovering her affair with her own grief counselor. It was a blow so brutal I wondered if I'd ever recover. Some nights I found myself staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every sign I'd missed. How could I have been so blind? How did she manage to hide it all so well? I threw myself into work, trying to drown out the pain. I went into overdrive, burying myself in the daily grind, pretending I was fine. But at night, my mind would spiral back, thinking about her, about David, about what I'd lost. I kept replaying those recordings, hearing her voice, her fake comfort that was really just seduction. It made me furious. Thinking about how she used her role to manipulate and betray me made my stomach turn. I couldn't believe I'd ever trusted her, let alone married her. My friends kept telling me to just cut her out for good, to block her, to move on. Jason, especially, was relentless. Dude, she's a liar. She's a manipulative bitch. Don't waste another second on her. Deep down, I knew he was right, but part of me still clung to the hope that maybe she'd come clean, maybe she'd realize how much she screwed up. But I understood now that she wasn't capable of genuine remorse. She lied her way into my life, and now she was gone, leaving me to pick up the pieces. I knew I had to do something more than just sit here and stew. I wanted proof, something concrete that would finally seal her lies. So I started setting up hidden devices, voice recorders, cameras in the house. I wasn't planning to confront her again. I just wanted evidence in case I needed it someday. Every night I stayed up, checking the recordings, listening to her lie, her voice dripping with fake concern. It was sickening, but I needed to be sure. I couldn't trust my own instincts anymore, so I had to rely on technology to tell me the truth. Then one night I got my chance. I managed to get her on tape admitting she'd been sleeping with David. I knew I'd catch her eventually, but hearing her own words confirmed everything. She said she thought I'd never find out, that she was bored and wanted excitement. The way she casually dumped it all, like it was nothing, made me want to throw up. I'd loved her, trusted her, and she'd been sneaking around behind my back like I was some idiot. The betrayal cut so deep I wondered how I'd ever breathe again. That's when I finally decided I'd had enough. I called her and told her I had the evidence, demanded she come back so I could hear her deny it all. Of course she did, trying every trick in the book, accusing me of paranoia, saying I was just jealous. I didn't care. I told her I was done, that I never wanted to see her again. I wanted her out of my house, out of my life. No more lies, no more pretending. When she finally left, I felt some strange relief mixed with emptiness. I knew I'd be okay eventually, but right then I was just broken. The woman I'd trusted, the woman I married, had turned out to be a liar and a cheat. I never thought I'd get to this point, so betrayed, so humiliated. I had so many questions racing through my mind. Was I a fool for trusting her? Did she ever really love me? Or was I just some convenient target for her to use and discard? I didn't have answers, only a gnawing ache deep inside. But as painful as it was, I realized I couldn't stay stuck in that misery. I had to choose whether to fight for myself or drown in anger and despair. I started thinking about therapy, about rebuilding, about moving on. I knew it wouldn't happen overnight. I'd need time, a lot of it. But I also knew I deserved better. I deserved someone who wouldn't betray me, who'd stand by me through grief and joy alike. That thought gave me a flicker of hope amidst all the chaos. I didn't know what my future looked like yet, but I knew I'd be stronger without her. I had to be. Now I'm just taking it one day at a time. The pain still lingers, but I'm slowly starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I trust myself more now, trust my instincts, trust that I'll get through this. And I hope anyone out there going through something similar learns that no matter how deep the betrayal, time and space will heal. It's not about forgetting. It's about learning to live again, even with the scars. It's been weeks since she left, and honestly, I still feel like I'm walking around with a weight pressing down on me. Some days, the pain hits harder than others, but I've started to realize something. I'm better than I thought I was. The worst betrayal of my life wasn't just the affair. It was the loss of trust in someone I loved. But slowly, I'm learning to rebuild that trust in myself. I'm learning that I don't have to let her betrayal define me, that I can survive this, maybe even come out stronger. I've been going to therapy not just for the grief, but to work through the anger and the hurt. It's a long process, and I know I'll carry some scars forever. But I also know I've got a new perspective now. I see things clearer. I see her for who she really was, a selfish, manipulative woman who used her professional role as a weapon. And I see myself as someone who's capable of healing, of standing up again after being knocked down so hard. Looking back, I realize that the biggest lesson I learned is about boundaries, about paying attention to the signs when something feels off. I was blinded by grief, and that made me vulnerable. I let my guard down because I was hurting so much, and in doing so, I allowed her to manipulate me. Never again. I now understand that trust isn't something you give blindly, it's something you earn and protect. And if someone betrays that trust, you have to cut your losses and walk away. I also learned that revenge isn't about getting even, it's about reclaiming your power. I never wanted to be the guy who just gets walked over, who lets someone destroy him and then just moves on like nothing happened. That's not real strength. Real strength is facing the pain, confronting the truth, and choosing to rebuild. I don't wish her any ill will. I just want to live my life without her shadow hanging over me. Most importantly, I've come to accept that sometimes love isn't enough. I gave her everything, my heart, my trust, my support, and she threw it all away. I can't change her, I can only control how I respond. And now I choose to focus on myself. I want to find happiness again, to reconnect with who I was before all of this happened. So I'm telling this story not for sympathy, but as a reminder. If you're out there and you're going through something similar, if you suspect your partner is cheating, if your trust has been shattered, know that you're not alone. It hurts like hell, but you're stronger than you think. and eventually the pain will lessen. You'll find your footing again. You'll learn to trust yourself more, to listen to your gut, and to recognize your worth. I don't know what the future holds for me, and honestly, I'm still scared. But I've made a decision. I won't let her betrayal define my life. I'll keep moving forward one day at a time. Because deep down, I know I deserve better. We all do. And sometimes it takes losing everything to realize how much you're worth.